Hello and welcome back to All for United with your host, Osman Akhtar. We are back with a breakdown and banter show. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe. We are 2 or 3 subscribers close to 700 as we are currently live. So make sure you hit that flipping subscribe button. It's completely free. And just show the boys some love on the socials as well. I'm joined here by Kojo and Abdel. Boys, how we doing?
Well, good,
I'm
man.
good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. So not too bad. Could be better. Could be better. Alhamdulillah on a football term, but in general,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All is well. All is well. As always, we are going to analyze yesterday's game. I think this might be the first time we're analysing a defeat, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it is, but I think it might be the first time.
I think
So
so, yeah.
obviously it's gonna be a new experience for all of us. So we'll see how we get on. As always, like I say, make sure you get your comments in the comment section. We try and read out as many questions as we possibly can to the boys. I'm sure I know Abdel's watched the game on multiple occasions, so I know he's prepared for sure. And Kojo,
Yeah.
Kojo's Kojo, and he knows his thing. Right, so let's get straight into it. First and foremost, going to start with the lineup, lads, because obviously there was a few noticeable changes. No Romero in there, Fred started, and Lindelof also started. We'll come to you, Kojo, first and foremost. What were your thoughts on the team selection, and do you think you made the right decision?
Well, in hindsight, people may say that he made the wrong decision. Now, the one that I thought was going to definitely stay was Romero, but obviously he was shot for De Gea. But I think all in all, I think for a big game where we're trying to get to a final, I think most people would have expected us to have gone back to the usual lineup, which we did. So there wasn't any shock for me. Obviously, like I said, I thought Romero would have stayed in goal. Bailly played quite well, so I wouldn't have been as a starting player, but it's a big game to get to a final. It's a game that you want to win, so he went for his so-called best 11 that he feels is the best for him because it's worked for him since especially since lockdown. And it didn't surprise me, but obviously with the result, it's disappointing now, isn't it? So
we'll go to the result shortly.
Yeah.
Oh God. So Abdel, obviously, Kojo said he's gone for his best 11. We know that Ollie's done that on numerous occasions, and to be fair, that's something I definitely do agree with, especially in this game. But was there anything that you would have changed in hindsight, or do you feel like the team selection, etc., was the right decision?
No, changing something in the lineup, no. I wouldn't have changed it even now after the defeat. But I just was surprised with Fred. I thought he would go back to Matic, but I got why during the match, and because the intensity and the energy that Fred has, he can keep that going for most of the match, unlike Matic.
Yeah, you've mentioned Fred Abdel, just to keep it on you. What were your thoughts on his individual performance, and do you feel like he kind of shone in that position? Because that's been something that we're thinking about as fans. We need someone to replace Matic. Again, I asked you a couple of weeks ago, is Fred capable of doing that role, or do you think it's just too big for him?
Yeah, if you asked me like 3 weeks ago, probably I would have said Scott McTominay would most likely be the one to do the Matic role, just because of physicality. And his stature and his body type, but it seems that Ollie is going for Fred to be that replacement for now for Matic. Yesterday during the match, I think the first 10 minutes, I would say, Fred was pressed high too much sometimes, and he lost the ball like he usually would. But his energy would make up for that. Like, he would lose it, but track down the runner so fast and put him under pressure and get the ball off him. So, and his performance, grew during the match, to be honest. And then a little bit by little bit, I think he even got over that. So he knew the positions of the players that were gonna press him, and he was able to evade them every time. So I think his awareness and his energy really helped him to get over the physicality part.
Yeah, you've spoken about the physicality part in terms of for McTominay, and I think that's a very important factor in terms of that role. But I've got to be honest, I think Fred, for me personally, has surprised me the last couple of games in particular. Yes, he's been good throughout the season, but he's kind of, for me, been what we're crying out for in terms of, tenacity, his bite, trying to get the ball back quickly. Yes, granted, he could be a bit better on the ball, but like you said, he grew into the game. He started to surpass the press, so to speak, from Sevilla. Not that it was that intense from there. I felt like they were a bit apprehensive for some reason. I'm not really
they
sure.
fell out in the second half. In the first half, they were good. They fell out massively in the second half, and that's why he made the changes he made. But we'll get to that later.
No. Let's of course first and foremost talk about the approach in the first half, because for me personally, one thing we've said consistently on this show is we need to start with intensity and actually go for it, set the precedent. We always say it every week, and for once we actually did it. We got the goal very early on. The 9th minute, Bruno Fernandes scoring the penalty. Yes, I know rival fans are fuming, but it was a blatant penalty again for me anyways. But yeah, Coach, what were your thoughts in terms of how we started the game?
It was very good. We pressed on them quite quickly. We tried to take control of the game, which is everything that I think we've been begging for in the last couple of months, because when we came back from lockdown, that's kind of thing we were doing, and then suddenly went away, which is kind of testament to some of the last 7 years of the performances that we've been seeing. But we started this game really well, and it felt like there was an urgency to go out there and win the game. I think it was very important to do so, because I was worried that they would try and go for counter-attacking football, sit back, but they do also recognize that Sevilla do love to press high, bring the fullbacks forward, and obviously because we got pace on the wings, they want to get out there as quick as possible, get it forward as quick as possible. So it was very, very important to start the game like that, and we were rewarded for starting the game in a positive way. So I think that's what we need more of. The approach in the first half was good. Obviously conceding is very, very annoying, but all in all, it's not a performance where you can look at it and say, well, we were bad in the first half. We're okay. We actually tried to make things happen. And fortunately, we started off well. So, yeah, that's something that I think the fans want more of. I think you guys mentioned Fred already and what he done. And I think that helps as well big time, because we've spoken about his having more agility, more pace, more tenacity than Matic, because obviously Matic is naturally a slower player, agility-wise and pace-wise. And having that energy in the midfield helps you build play quicker, helps you move forward quicker. So it's all part of a plan that I feel like Ole is trying to build. And this is the first time we've seen it actually in a while, anyway, come to fruition. And it looked like it was working.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There was definitely a clear plan and clear tactics to get at them very early on, which I was really happy to see as so to speak, a breath of fresh air compared to our last two games. But I have to be honest, there is a massive critique here that I'm going to throw to you guys to see what you guys think. We started the game fantastically well. We got that goal, and then for some reason, I don't know if you guys, if it was just me, but for some reason, we decided to park the bus and counterattack when we was absolutely all over them. For that, the first 10 minutes, we were all over them. We get the goal, and then for some reason, we allowed them to have the ball. Like, Abdul, what were your thoughts on that? I was absolutely baffled.
Yeah, I thought that was the clear intention. I thought it's not that they were playing so good they pushed us back. It's that we actually let them have the ball. That was the intention, because we did not want to try to out-football them like how you would see City play. We wanted to basically nick the ball off them very fast and transition very fast. And our press was based on triggers, right? So it depends on where the ball is and where they have the ball on the field. Our press would attack or not. So when the ball went out to their center backs, and the center backs try to move it to the flanks, this was triggers, let's say to the right hand side of United. This was a trigger for Greenwood and Aaron Wan-Bissaka to move into this side and press that center back and Anthony Martial, and to press that side. So it really depended. Like, I wouldn't call it parking the bus, because we were in a mid block. We were in the middle of the middle third of our half.
Very
not
structured.
Like not on our box. So it was like intentional and very well thought out. And the goal that we conceded, the first one, was actually when the way it started out, it was Greenwood's anxiousness and wanting to win the ball back so fast that cut him out of position so massively and left Aaron Wan-Bissaka alone with a space on the right hand side with Relegation and Ocampos. So like it was well thought out. I wouldn't call it barking the bus because we would be closer to our box to be barking the bus.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a clear plan and it worked. And by the way, the second half, the way we started was also that same plan, and we won the ball so much off of them. We pressed their midfielders really well. So, like, I mean, I don't know. This is the way I saw it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think we parked, let's say, and played negatively. We had a clear plan and we executed it really well.
Okay, first and foremost, yeah, we didn't park the bus. I think that's an over-exaggeration. We were very conservative. I think, just to clarify what I'm talking about here, it was between when we scored and they scored, just that 10-minute spell, or 15-minute spell. I think they scored at the 26th minute, roughly. So between that spell, we became conservative, for me personally, and we didn't need to do that. I understand what you're saying, that we was winning the ball high, but it was quite evident in that 16-minute spell, prior to them scoring, we allowed them to grow into the game. We allowed them to be the team on the ascendancy. We allowed them to be comfortable in the game. But prior to that, when we scored the goal, the first 10 minutes, we was all over them and they couldn't hack it. They literally were struggling to get out, and we were forcing them into so many errors. So I don't understand why the mentality changed when we scored.
It looked like he wanted to be very disciplined with it. So obviously, when the team's gone 1-0 up, I think the general consensus among the fans would be go for the second, go for the kill. There is that saying about a team is most vulnerable when they've scored, but then a team can also be very vulnerable when they've conceded. You can go for them and get them again because they're rattled at that goal. So I understand the sentiment. I think he was just trying to be very, very structured, very, very disciplined, restrict the expressiveness of the players, and just allow them to construct something different. I think we saw that when Pogba, I think just before the first half, played a long pass down the left to Rashford, and Rashford was one-on-one with the defender before he unfortunately messed up. I think that's the kind of thing he was looking for, just to hit them on the break, because like we said, Sevilla do push high, and he just wanted to get into open spaces. So again, I don't want to say it didn't work because there was a lack of execution, because we got into their final third, and then it was the decision making was either poor or it was losing the ball off the dribble without actually being challenged like Rashford did. So it didn't make sense, but of course I do understand also that when you go 1-0 up, and with our history of scoring one and scoring the other very quickly, because we've been able to do that in the past, I understand the urge to go and just get at them and get that second, but I wasn't too upset with that approach after we scored, because it still kind of worked. It's just, when you concede, you're like, oh, okay.
We had like several situations between their goal and ours where we were like a 3v2 and a 3v3.
Yeah, we had a lot
and
of
another
overloads.
And like I said a bit earlier, we were very structured and thought out in where do we want to press. So if we were able to push them back a little bit further, so in their half, you will see Rashford, Martial, Bruno, Greenwood, and Pogba all push up and try to push them and nick the ball off them in their half. As soon as they pushed back a little bit and like bypassed our press a little bit, we would fall back into our 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, whatever you want to call it, and then wait for the triggers again. Wait for when they move the ball out wide, and then both our forward and our fallback would press them. Same thing on the left side, William and Rashford or Greenwood or Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I wouldn't say like, oh, we let them have it just because we're defending our lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We let them have it because we wanted to nick it off them in certain areas just to transition so fast on them. It was direct play.
Yeah,
that's the game plan.
Yeah, no, you spoke about us nicking it off him high, and I could just you saying that I can think of at least 3 occasions on top of my head. Obviously Fred was the most noticeable one when he did a step over. It was good movement by Martial to allow him to run behind him like an overlap, so to speak. But we had so many overloads. Coach has said the execution wasn't there. Do you guys put that down to, as in the performance overall? Do you put it down to a lack of execution, or do you think tactically Oli got it wrong? Because I know a lot of fans saying after the game this is on Oli. Some fans are saying it's on the players. Obviously, for me personally, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I think it's absolutely pathetic if you blamed Oli for that performance, because it's quite evident why we didn't win the game. But we have to break it down either way. Abdul, what are your thoughts, moving into the second half? Because I thought straight away Greenwood had that 1-on-1. We had a very good chance straight away. What was your thoughts on the approach to the second half? We went into the break 1-1. Do you think you changed it up enough, or do you think it was just more of the same, so to speak?
No, it was more of the same, but we just had we had reserves of energy compared to them,
Yeah.
And this is where Sevilla really started to fade out. Like, we really should have killed them at that moment.
Yeah.
Our problem, if we want to speak tactically, really, our problem would be the fullbacks, and it always has been ever since the lockdown started.
Yeah.
Since Luke Shaw's got injured for me, Abdul, I don't know about you.
Yeah, of course. Like, Luke Shaw would always be more forward than Williams will be. Especially, he's more. I don't want to say more forward, but I would say more active in the sense of he would stretch the play wide. William haven't been doing that a while. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka's for me was one of his worst games I have seen so far for him, because he lacked so much energy and he wasn't stretching the play at all. Both fullbacks were always around 15 to 10 centimeters at backwards, to the line of the forwards. So it made it so easy for someone like Navas and I don't know who on their left hand side or right hand side.
Regular.
Is it Mini?
Yeah, their forward and their fullback. It made it easier for them to double up on Rashford from this side or double up on Greenwood from that side, because our fullbacks weren't stretching them wider or taking them out of their position.
Yeah.
Our central play was so good yesterday just because Pogba and Bruno were on top. They had, both of them had one of their really, really good games.
Yeah.
So even though the fullbacks were not stretching Sevilla so much, we were still able to play it in between them. But this is where tactically I would say we're still deficient. We still cannot, stretch that because they played in a 4-5-1 block when we pushed them to their box, right? So if your fullbacks can't stretch the play for you, or at least drag two players from the wings for you, then you'll have a hard time trying to break that block.
Yeah, you say that you have a hard time breaking that block. First and foremost, regarding Pogba and Bruno, I completely agree. I thought they were absolutely phenomenal yesterday. Like, genuinely, they don't deserve to be in the losing team, as well as Fred. Just to add to that, you've spoken about we're going to find it difficult to break that block, etc. But for me personally, we broke that block. The analogy I used when I was watching the game was, it's almost like when you're boxing and the opposition's on, you've literally got him on the ropes. And for some reason, he's always clinching you when you should be able to take your chance. And you just can't seem to get him off you. Like, you're trying to get the final knockout, but it's just not happening. And that's what it was for me. Like, I felt like we broke down. We did actually have some moments in terms of pattern of play that was actually quite good.
It was.
Yeah, I thought we actually played well yesterday for a change. But for a change,
just a small thing. It wasn't breaking a block. It was making them make mistakes in their own half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
If from the second goal to the end of the match, Sevilla didn't want to attack anymore. It was done for them. Just counter if you get a chance. 4-5-1 and stay there. And we know that their fullbacks are not going to do anything for them. They're probably going to play it back so they can't break us.
Yeah,
that's
to be fair,
that's the end of the game.
After this goal, to be honest, it did not look like we were going to score. So you're definitely right in that sense. I don't even remember getting a chance in the last 10 minutes. Kojo, what were your thoughts on the second half?
I was screaming bottlers. No, because I think it's quite clear that everyone knows that we had multiple chances, clear-cut chances, to kill them, and we didn't take it, or them even rather. And bad games happen, but we don't need bad games to happen in semi-finals and finals. And we've been to 3 semi-finals now. We've lost all of them, so we needed to try and take control of this one and just kill them off. Was I angry with the second half performance? No. It worked out perfectly for Sevilla. We missed our chances. They got their breakaway. They got their goal. They didn't have to do anything else. And that's pretty much what it was. But that's a lesson that the team needs to learn. It's something you have to be ruthless in situations.
Yeah.
You really have to go for the kill, because a team of Sevilla's quality are very good. I mean, me and Osman spoke about it, I think, the day or two previous to the game, about
preview,
especially about their fullbacks. I highlighted Reguilon, and unfortunately for me, he got an assist, which is annoying as hell. Because they are a very good side, and they do have history in this competition as well. And if we do watch their games, even though it was under previous management, these kind of matches did happen. They were very similar games, and these teams know how to kill you off because they know how to find space. Luke de Jong's not the quickest, but he's smart. He knows how to find space, and he found space in the box, and he punished us. So, I wasn't. The reason I wasn't so angry with the loss is because it's on us, which should make me more angry. But at least I know that there is the potential there to actually find the clinicalness. But we lacked it in this game. But that's a lesson. It's a lesson they need to learn, because if you want to now get back to where you believe you deserve to be, you will find your clinicalness and you will kill teams from the jump. And just so quickly on the fullbacks, I've said this before on Wan-Bissaka. He was a winger, so I don't know where he lost his attacking prowess from, because I love the fact that he learned to defend and became a solid right back. But we need more going forward from that side as well, because even with Luke Shaw in the team, the pattern was always Pogba getting it to that side when he's pressing it one side or the other, because Luke Shaw does more going forward. He might not be the best going forward, but it gives you something extra at least for the team going forward. So Wan-Bissaka needs to improve on that side of his game quickly, because I'm a patient man. I'm not going to come and scream he needs to be replaced and all that nonsense. But at some point, I'm going to say you're going to need someone to challenge him that can do both, and then that's going to help him elevate his game. Because if he's not helping us going forward, you don't have dangers from each side. So you have Greenwood and Mata who are options on the right. Greenwood is someone that's going to cut in, use his left or right, which is great, but he's always going to try and shoot. And Mata is always going to cut in on his left and try and link up play. But you need someone else to overlap, and he's not doing that enough. And he's not doing it. He's not at least doing it to the level that you would hope. We're not asking for you to do it at an extremely high level like Dani Alves. A good level where you can contribute something, like you did against Chelsea away when you crossed for Martial, something like that. So we need more from the fullbacks, and I guess we do miss Shaw. It's funny. A lot of my fans didn't want Shaw around here, so it's funny how things will work out. But we need a lot more from Wan-Bissaka, especially a lot more.
That's literally it's one of those sayings in it. You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. So to speak, obviously, I'm not saying Luke Shaw's a well beater, but he offers balance, man. And football is all about balance, really.
For Williams and Wan-Bissaka, we don't need them to make crosses. Like it's just the positioning. Like what frustrated me yesterday.
Take extra out of the game, isn't it?
Exactly. Take a man out. Make them worry about you and your positioning. Exactly. They were so far, they were behind, like I said, around 15 centimeters behind. So their wingers did not have to worry about our fullbacks at all. They knew they weren't advancing, so they just doubled up on our inside forwards.
Yeah.
And it was just simple as that, and especially in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's been an issue. Obviously, with Williams, he's not left forward in it, to be honest, and he just find it difficult. It doesn't seem as confident as he first was when he burst onto the scene, and everyone was calling for him to start over Luke Shaw because he gave us that attacking press. I think it's a confidence thing with Williams and potentially Wan-Bissaka. But coming on to the substitutions and the lack of them from our perspective, firstly, Firstly, Abdel, I want you to talk about the impact that their substitutes had. I noticed, the subs that he made in terms of timing was when we were way above them in terms of we were on top of the game. It looked like a matter of time that we were going to score. He made substitutes. He shuffled the pack. He brought a compass off, who was one of the better players. He was quite frustrated, but he wasn't scared to make that ruthless decision, regardless of what the player thought. And to be honest, it kind of paid dividends really, because it slowed us down to an extent. Regarding their subs, first and foremost, what impact did they have? And secondly, why didn't we make any subs? Should we have made any subs in that same period?
Okay, let me take my time on this one, because yesterday I was told that, because Oli did not make changes, we lost the game. Look at their manager. He made changes early and they won the game. Okay, with substitutions, guys, it just does not work out that way every time. Yes, you can have an explosive impact from being subbed in, but it depends on who and when, right? And if you look at our bench, I mean, okay, questionable. There are some options there that you could think of that could do something. Okay, for Sevilla yesterday, okay, like I said, they got really exhausted and their press was not working out at all. Pogba and Fred were finding so much space in the middle because their midfield couldn't press up with their forwards. So they were, instead of having a 5 or a 6-man pressing system, they were having a 3. All right, so 3 can't do shit to you. They can't do anything. So you'll just play through them so fast, and that's it. And that's what Fred and Pogba were doing, right? So what their manager did by the 2 substitutions he have is, one, he just needed more energy on the wings, and 2, the De Jong substitution is that he's an option that they can go long without having to press it, right? Because he can receive the ball on his chest, he can hold the ball off and play his wingers in. So with that, their attacking, or let's say their playing system did not change much. It's just that because they're knackered, they couldn't press as much. They kept looping it forward, right, and hoping for the best. With us, though, you're on top and you're creating so many chances. Why mess up that formula, right? So when the 60th, 65 minutes, something like that, and started over, we weren't creating as many chances because Sevilla didn't have to come out of their base that much too. So they would play it backwards and they will play it in their own half just so that they can loop it to a winger or loop it to De Jong, right? So this is why people started to notice, okay, he made substitutions and we fell off. We did not really fell off. It's just that we couldn't make them make mistakes in their own half as much as before because they were trying to play us out from their own half before. And every time they tried to do that, we'd press them so high, we'd make them make a mistake, and they would just, and create another chance. This is where that 4 or 5 chances happened in the first half of the second half, the first part of the second half.
Yeah.
Now, if we
Is he disconnected?
Maybe.
Right, okay. Just as he's about to explain that, looks like he's disconnected. So I'm going to pass it to Kojo for a second. Hopefully, I'm assuming he's going to reconnect in about 5 seconds. Kojo, we'll pass it to you as he's obviously trying to reconnect. So obviously he was talking about, first and foremost, I completely agree with what he said regarding the subs. Why would we make subs when we definitely, like I said, we were the team on top. We were causing them all the problems. And for me personally, it didn't make any sense to make subs. However, do you think there was a moment that he probably should have shuffled the pack, or do you think it was just a matter of he hasn't got the options on the bench that you'd want?
I'll be honest. I think the only time I screamed for a substitute was when it was half time, and I just felt Rashford wasn't having that good a game. That's the only one that I was at least make a sub there, because it's not the first time in a couple of weeks that he's had a bad game. He had a few bad games for a while. But what Abdel said is right. See, this is the thing about fans. And I'm not just coming for United fans. If you're
here we go.
Don't feel I'm coming for your neck. This is in general, right? A lot of fans are not happy with the squads that their team has. Fact.
Oh my God, please preach.
They complain about it, they bitch and they moan because they're like, this guy's not good enough. We want this guy, that guy, I want this guy in my team, whatever. Cool. But then when your manager's want you to make changes, the question is, who the hell from those players that you don't think are good enough, who the hell do you want him to bring on? See,
it's probably the dice, isn't it?
Me, for example, I don't know. See, I don't really highly rate. Let me think. Igalo, for example, I don't highly rate him. So if he comes off the bench, I'm gonna be thinking I ain't expecting too much. But if he does well, fantastic. Substitute worked, amazing. The only person that I've only said every time and time again is come on the bench, off the bench, at some point for substitution is matter, because I feel he has that extra quality to link up, play and create. That's the only one I stay strong with, because I actually still believe in his ability. But there's no one else. I don't sit here and tell you that Daniel James is coming on the pitch. For what reason? What reason does he come on for? What I just said was right. It was working. it was genuinely actually working. No one can tell you that it wasn't working because it was working. The fact is, the players on the pitch were bottling chances. But then, let's say Martial missed 3 1-on-1s. Are you going to be confident enough to say take Martial off the pitch? No, you wouldn't, because you want Martial on the pitch, don't you? You want him to be he's your number 9. He's your key man. He scored 23 or 4 goals this season.
23, I can't remember. 23
goals this season. So, I get it. I get it that, we want changes to try and change the game up. But the truth is, you're not happy with your squad. So who the hell do you want him to bring on? Because I'm not going to lie to you. When we went behind, I mean, I've also complained about his timing of substitutions at times. I feel like he needs to make them sometimes a little bit earlier when we need a little bit of change, just to change up the game plan a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was excited when I saw Substitutions on the pitch, because I don't know what the hell he brings.
I don't know why he's subbed for Substitutions. I'm so intrigued to know. Please,
genuinely don't know.
I've been waiting 24 hours for this, Abdul, please, because it's been doing my head in. Why did he get subbed on? He doesn't even play left back, and he subbed him on left back. I just don't get it. What was that about?
It was because of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Because at the time, honestly, I did not see a solution. You already have all your key players on the field. The ones who are going to create the magic for you. I mean, Mata, you know what I mean? But for me, I only thought that Substitutions change was just because Aaron Wan-Bissaka was done. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was just out.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
You didn't put him on Wan-Bissaka's side though. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think you put Dan James.
Williams. Yeah.
And you put Substitutions on for Williams.
Oh yes, yeah. Right.
So you put Dan James right back, if I'm not wrong.
Abdul looks just as I did when I was watching it.
I didn't understand. I was like, we need a goal.
I did, because at that time I honestly did not focus on that part because the game was almost done.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you would think about it again, and like, you already have all your goal scorers. He said it in the press conference. I'm like, I thought I made the decision that I made because I thought we had enough goal scorers on the field.
Yeah.
Like, who else? I'm like, he's literally telling me, who else am I gonna put? So I mean, Daniel James is gonna make a difference. And I think, by the way, with the Daniel James substitution, I think he was just trying to stretch the play, like I was telling you before, because we weren't stretching the play with our fullback.
I'll just interrupt you, sorry. Do you not think the Daniel James substitution would have been a stroke of genius if it was 1-1? Like, if you brought him on before, because I thought, this is just me watching it, I thought the game was so open, and like we said, we was getting chances left, right, and centre. And if we had a Daniel James running in behind with pace, it was just a matter of time that one of these balls were going to get to him.
Yeah, but the problem is, if he made it for the same change he made it at the last minute, that's a problem, because you're losing a fullback.
Yeah, I would have taken.
But I mean, if you put it, you're gonna put him instead of Greenwood. I mean, he's technically the best. Jan James is gonna offer you speed, but and at not at 1-1, but at 2-1, let's say 78th minute, that's when they scored. They decided to just shut down, but of course they parked the bus, you know what I mean?
Then maybe it would have been better to bring on Lingard, because if they're sitting back and Daniel James can't run in behind with pace, look for movement instead, maybe.
Yeah, the only one I genuinely thought about was Mata.
Yeah, Mata. For me.
Yeah, and I thought of Lingard as well instead of Rashford and Mata on the right hand side.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Same. Just get.
But I was like, if you are. Like, I thought you're killing it even more, because that's too many players that like to play centrally.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's very true. That's exactly what I was just thinking now. Obviously, said that.
So it's gonna congest it even more, and Sevilla is gonna have a party time for themselves. Just double up on each one of them and then just hoof it outside.
Well, that's kind of what happened in the last 5 minutes or so. It seemed like it was so congested. Obviously, we were very desperate. But listen, guys, I just want to finish on one more thing. Obviously, we've spoken quite a lot in detail, but we haven't actually mentioned the goals. Yeah, we kind of briefly mentioned the first goal, but I got to mention the second goal. Now, obviously, I know you kind of already touched on the first goal, so I don't want to go all the way back to the first goal. But listen, second goal, there's so many. To be fair, the first goal, right? On a normal day, I'd probably potentially complain about, it's our throw-in. But the fact that there was that many mistakes for the first goal, I didn't even think about for 1 second about that should be our throw-in, because there was about 9 mistakes leading up to the goal. But the second goal, for me, you've got 3 defenders in the box, and you got one guy who's not Aguero, he's not Lewandowski, he's not quick, he's not even scored in the Europa League this season, and you got 3 months on him, and somehow he gets an opportunity, not head the ball in, pass it into the net, like from 6 yards in. Obviously, De Gea's got absolutely no chance. I felt for De Gea because he literally couldn't even make a save yesterday because he didn't have an opportunity to do so. Look, I didn't want to pass. Colin, we'll come to you first, actually, because you love defenders, don't you? Listen, what are your thoughts on that goal? Obviously, I know it's a deflection, but let's forget about the deflection, mate. Who's at fault for this goal? And I know Ben always says we don't want to pinpoint players, but listen, I'm going to put it on you, mate. What's happened with this goal? What's gone wrong with this goal here?
If we're talking about the if we're talking about the defenders, the only person that I cannot blame is Maguire. Imagine that. Me not blaming him. Wow. But no, on a serious level, I know about the deflection, but this is why I always say, as a defender, the only thing I can ask of you to do is just make it as difficult as possible to score. That's the only thing I can ask of you to do. I can't expect you to be Maldini. There's only one Maldini. There's only one Nesta. There's only one Rio. There's only one Terry.
There's only one Maldini as well.
So Maldini. Well, he came back to the club.
Apparently, he's been sold as he's speaking right now. Actually, I've been hearing this. We'll talk about later.
Okay,
but yeah, sorry.
So for Williams, he struggled at left back, but he's played left back before, so I can't. But he's young, so I try not to be too hard on him. But the one thing you're taught is to get very close to your opponent so they can't get the freedom to whip balls in.
Yeah.
If it takes a deflection, it's going for a corner, it's going for a throw, it's going the other way. It's not going behind you if you do your job properly. That's number one. Number two, Lindelof, I don't understand what he was trying to do. I mean, if a ball's coming into your box, the first thing you got to try and do is attack the ball, not let it go past you. I don't understand what that was about. And number three, Wan-Bissaka, even before the ball was whipped in, he sees Luke de Jong straight ahead of him, and he's
with him. Like they're with each other. Like
exactly,
it's practically touching him, isn't it?
Exactly. So until the danger has completely gone, until it's out of the way, completely gone, the first thing you must do is try and get goal side and make sure that he doesn't have the space to have a free header or free tap in or whatever. Do the best you can do to make it difficult. If he moves like Cavani and beats you, I've got no problem. But you didn't do that. And those are the three things that led to this goal. One little mistake can blow it up. And it started from there. And it just continued. And also, I'm sorry. You don't, we spoke about the first goal already, but if you don't get a throw in, there's it's like a minute from that throw into the goal.
It's about 70 yards, 80 yards away from our net.
There's so much that can happen within that time period. Defend better. You know what I'm saying? So,
Wan-Bissaka was culpable for the first goal because he didn't follow his man, did he? He just jogged. Regular. Sprinted and Wan-Bissaka. Just before I ask you, I'm just gonna throw this in there, just like a curveball again. I'm just gonna throw it in there for the sake of it. Firstly, factor being, I know Ali said this. You know, this is something that I need to learn on. They were mentally exhausted. Is there a case, right? And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, so don't kill me in the comments. Is there a case that David De Gea needs to come and catch that ball? It's like 7 yards, 8 yards out. I'm just asking. I'm not saying he has to.
Not for me.
But realistically speaking, where is that ball going to be played into? There's only one player in the box. You know, he's not going to get beaten near post, realistically speaking. He was literally stood on his line. He can't be at least a couple of yards off his line, give the defenders a chance. They're clearly knackered. They played 120 minutes of the day.
If the defenders do their job, this is not even a question.
I'm not saying that it's his fault.
I understand. Yeah.
But I'm just saying a keeper that commands his box. I just think if that's a Van der Sar or a Czech in his prime, or obviously Neuer, whoever you can name those keepers, they're going to come and catch that ball. Because it's not really that far out. And he didn't, obviously, I know he doesn't anticipate it. And I'm not blaming him. There's loads of other people before you can contemplate that. But is there a case for that? Or do you think that's
I honestly think that if it was a bit higher, then we could question him because it was very close to him. So if the ball was going a bit higher and De Jong was aiming to head it, not to just, tap it in, and De Gea did not even move from the line, then probably you can say, yo, De Gea, you could do better here, But I just can't get over what Wan-Bissaka did. Like, he just completely left him. Completely. Like, he didn't do anything at all. Just, like, stood there with him, and then De Jong just moved and he looked at him. and I just can't get over that. Like that specifically.
Honestly, God, I've
I mean,
watched it.
we could say Lindelof. Sorry, we could say Williams should have done better to block it. We could say what the hell is Lindelof is doing. And by the way, Lindelof has a big share in this because he already took a look behind him and saw De Jong.
Yeah.
So he knew De Jong was behind him.
But he's not. Who
You
else
know?
is Lindelof marking? I just don't get their logic.
That's the thing. So I'm like, okay, so if you know that guy is behind you and you're already in a position of advantage because you're in front of him, so you can block the cross, why didn't you block it? Just take one more step further, and block it.
Do you know what's jarring about it is, like, in this era of defending, right? Because there's either zonal marking or there's a mix between zonal and man marking, so no one knows what the hell they're doing anymore at this point, to be honest. And it's made it much harder for defenders.
But
So you've got, like, Lindelof. I mean, you've just said it there, which again annoys me because I've given this guy so much praise this year, and I have to take it back for this one game. If you look behind you, you see a guy's he's free, but there's no one else around you. Ideally, the first thing you probably do is try and just go back a little bit to make sure that he knows that you're there. Yeah. If Wan-Bissaka's not following him, one way or another, one of you need to get there. But the annoying thing about defending now is because there is either zonal marking or mixed between, people don't really mark the men anymore. So the Van der Sars, the Czechs had to be commanding more in set piece situations rather than whilst you're open place situation, because when man marking was the thing, the centre back will always be near the other person and track their run to make sure that they couldn't get a free run. So in any situation where we used to talk about goals of, like, I'll bring up one against us, which is annoying. I don't really want to talk about it, but it's what it is. When Walcott was running with Vidic and he dragged him out of the way so Nasri can go past and just hit past Van der Sar, I think it was like 2007 against us. Those were more goals that you would be more likely to come across because you, as a centre-back, will always have to track the man that you're with. You shouldn't give him that space. And then when you can go and engage the other person, that's when you do that. Now, because there's so much zonal marking, no one really knows how to man mark, no one knows how to really track their man anymore. And this is a case and point situation because Wan-Bissaka should be following him to the ends of hell. Should be going all the way with him. There's a hell with just saying, I'm with you. I don't care where you're going. It's like what Patrice Evra said it. It said that even as a fullback, he hated playing against James Milner because James Milner followed him to the bathroom. It's that kind of pressure that he puts upon him to say, you're not going anywhere. You're with me. And that's a fullback. So if a striker is in your box going somewhere, the first thing you got to do is be with him. And you're not doing that. And I see that in so many teams, in so many divisions. And honestly, you know how much, like, I've got a reputation in general of just hating trash defending. And that was just another one. And I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get mad again.
Yeah, we're gonna finish with that before the boys got a tangent. Listen, the last
Kojo got really heated there.
I know, I Kojo don't like defenders. Listen, just to finish off, just to add my last 10 cents. For me personally, it's just ridiculous. If you actually go back to the goal, right? Obviously, I know no one's gonna wanna, and you just stop it just before De Jong's gonna hit it. Or just before he even gets into that position, there's literally nobody within 25 yards of him in the opposite team. So there's no one even on the edge of the box for it to fall to, even if it's a terrible header from Wan-Bissaka or whoever may clear it. There's nobody to follow up from it because they're literally not committing people forward. I almost think they gave up and they were trying to play for extra time at that point, and they thought, no, they didn't even care. Like, that's why they celebrate so much. Because they generally didn't care for going forward to score. They were like, let's just get to extra time and we'll reassess the situation. And obviously, these things happen. Sadly, we were on the wrong end of it this time. But we'll be back stronger, hopefully, next season. And it was, boys, absolute pleasure. A lot longer than I thought, but it was a fantastic show, as always. A lot of good points made. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure you drop a like and show the boys love on their socials. Obviously, I know Kojo has 2 podcasts, and Abdul does a lot of breakdowns on his Twitter as well. So make sure you show him love because obviously he clearly knows what he's talking about. Apart from that, it's been your host, Osman Akhtar. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back hopefully in a few weeks when the season starts. I don't even know. Apparently, we're playing Arsenal, but hopefully that's a positive one. Anyway.